Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om 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 Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva Manusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Namostu te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullaravindayata Patranetra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purna Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vitraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Duhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dugdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsas Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mat Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Bhishmadrona Tatajayadratha Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Krupena Vahani Karnena Velakula Ashwathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini Suttirna Kalu Pandavairana Nadi Kaivartaka Keshava Parasharya Vachas Sarojamamalam Gitartha Gandhotkatam Nana Kyanaka Kesaram Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam Loke Sajjana Shatpadairaharaha Pepiyamanam Mudha Bhuyad Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradhvamsina Shreyase Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pankhum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangha Padakramo Panishadair Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam na viduh Surasuragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Welcome back to the study of the Bhagavad Gita. We are studying the 13th chapter, differentiation of the knower and from the known. The known is the world outside, including this body, mind, which is nothing but an emanate from the five elements. But behind this is the knower. And this chapter deals with this subject of the knower and the known. In the 19th verse, Sri Krishna spoke about this subject. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhi Anadhi Ubhavapi. When did the universe come into existence? Sri Krishna very clearly says that this is anadi. That means it is timeless. beginningless. It comes and goes, it comes and goes. That means you can never pinpoint and say that the universe has begun at this point of time. We may say that the world, that means earth, comes and goes, but the entire universe, it has emanated from Brahman from time immemorial. You cannot just pinpoint and say that this has come only from this time and that it is going to stay only for up to this time. This is the essence of this verse. Vidhi anadi ubhau api, both of these. What is it? Prakritim, that is the nature or the universe that we experience, and Purusham, that means the one who experiences all of this, the experiencer, is also as old as or even older than this universe. Yes, we can say that the earth that we see has got a beginning and then it will go back and then it will come back again after some time. Here we can say some of the planets also, they come and go, but it has been there throughout eternity, one can say. It has been there all the time. Once we come to realize that what we call as this world is eternal in the sense that it has been there from the beginning itself, and that our existence also is eternal. That means as the Atman, as the self, our existence is also eternal. It is not that we have been that we have come to existence only when this body came into existence. Yes, apparently we shall have to think so, but we have been there for eternity. That's why Sri Krishna in a previous chapter, he tells Arjuna very clearly, look here Arjuna, you know, I know your past and I know about my past as well, but you have only limited knowledge of your past, but you have also been there for eternity. You as the self, as the Purusha. So this is a very difficult point to understand, but Sri Krishna will try to make it a little more understandable in the next few verses. Vikaram cha gunams chaiva vidhi prakriti sambhavan. Know also that all changeful objects and attributes that constitute the world of daily experience are sprung from Prakriti, nature. Nature, Prakriti, is Anadi. It is beginningless. And in the next verse, he says, what is Prakriti? Karya karana kartrutve hetuhu prakritihi uchyate. Purushaha sukadukhanam bhoktrutve heturuchyate. Just like the house and the inhabitants of the house, the dwellers of the house, they are different. This body and the resident, that means the real residents, are different. The indweller is known as the Purusha. There are two meanings for Purusha. One is Purishayanat iti Purushaha. That means one who resides in this frame called body-mind complex. As the ruler, he is Purusha. And the other meaning is, a common meaning is man. A man is also known as Purusha. But that meaning has not to be understood here. He says, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhi Anadhi Upavapi. Karya Karana Kartritve Hetuhu Prakriti Ruchyate. So the indweller is the true Purusha, or the indweller is the real self, the real self. real and apparent. These two words occur in philosophy. That which is existent for all times to come is known as as real. Apparent is that which is in front of me, or that which is present but which does not remain for eternity. See, the world that we experience, as I experience, is unreal in the sense that this is not going to be eternal as I see it. It may be in another form, as he has earlier said, it is anadi. That means it is eternal in that sense, but not in this sense that I experience. Today I am here and I am having certain experiences, I am seeing certain things, etc. But tomorrow, at this same time, at this same place, I may not have the same experience. Can I? It's not possible for me to have the same experience. So that is to say, it is not eternal. It is apparently real as for now, but it is not real for eternity. That's what he says. So the indweller is called the Purusha, and this Purusha uses these different objects such at different times in this space. So using that, this Purusha either becomes happy or becomes unhappy. See, the same food, when you eat it for the first time, you will like it very much. Keep it for 1 or 2 days, bring it out and try to eat the same food. It is not as enjoyable as it was. What has changed here? The experiencer, the experience of the experiencer has changed. The experiencer has not changed, but the objects that I have put in front of myself and my association with it has changed. So that's why he says that the karya karana kartrutve hetuhu prakriti uchyate. Prakriti is the cause of the formation and functioning of the body and the senses. Karya means the action, and karana means the tools that I use to perform an action. The tools that I use to perform the action and the action that I do. Kartrutve. What is the root of all of this is Prakriti, nature. See, some time ago somebody said that this microphone, just to give an immediate example, that I am not able to hear properly. You know, somebody said, I cannot hear properly. Because at that time, this microphone or this system, PA system, behaved differently. And today, it is behaving in a better manner. So, we cannot expect this to behave the same manner as always. There may be some little adjustments here or there which will be necessary to make it audible. So in the same way, this body and the mind also keeps on undergoing changes. That is why, as I gave that example earlier, the same experience cannot be had twice, because the circumstances change, the tools that I employ, instruments that I employ to enjoy it, it also undergoes change. See, Sri Ramakrishna used to say that a person who is having a fever, a high fever, if you give him or her a tasty meal, will not be able to enjoy the meal. But if the same person, when his fever has come down, he is keeping better health, he will enjoy the same food if brought before him. So this world also is like that. It will keep on changing. Permutation and combination always keeps on changing. And that is why joy or sorrow is not a constant. This is something which we will always have to understand. Happiness or misery is never a constant. It will never be the same. And this urge within ourselves, or this desire within ourselves to have the same enjoyment or the same type of enjoyment, it only leads us into more and more of miserable existence. So therefore, whatever I have, I will experience it for this time being, but I am not going to ask for the same kind of experience later. Once we have that kind of understanding within ourselves, then our life will become a better life, and that we will become more fulfilled in life. So that is why the yogis are said to be santushto yena kenachit. Sri Krishna says the perfected person is one who is satisfied with yena kenachit, with whatever he is given. You give him bitter gourd, he will be happily eating the bitter gourd. You give him a sweet dish, he will be happily eating the sweet dish. I have seen myself some great people who are like that. They don't bother at all what you put, as long as it nourishes them, they are mightily happy about it. So no complain about anything. There was one Swami, he was in Sri Lanka for a very long period of time. And then he had gone to Chennai, our mutt in Chennai. So it was tea time, and there was a new brahmachari, a new novice. He had just joined a few days before, and so he was asked to look after a serving of tea, making and serving the tea. It's about 3:30 p.m. when the bell rings, everybody, some will go and have their tea. So he went, and nobody else had come, so he sat there. And then the brahmachari, who was brahmachari means novice, he came in and he said, Maharaj, are you going to have tea? Yes. All right, I will bring it. So he went and poured some tea into a kettle and then brought it and served to the Swami. He just started sipping the tea with great relish. He had the tea and he was still drinking. Another Swami came in. The Swami came in and then he asked the brahmachari, hey, where is my tea? All right. So from the same kettle, the tea was poured to him. As soon as he put the cup to his lips, he spat out. And with great rage, he called the brahmachari, hey, you have made this tea? Yes, Maharaj. What have you put in this? I said, I don't know, Maharaj. So, in the meantime, the Swami looked at the other Swami who was drinking tea with great relish. He was drinking. He said, what kind of a person are you? This tea is full of salt. Instead of sugar, this boy has put salt and you are just drinking like that with great relish. The Swami said, well, I came here to have tea. Whatever was given to me, I took it as prasad, as a sacrament from the Lord, and I am drinking and I am mightily happy with whatever it is. Oh, you are saying that there is salt in it? Yes, now I can taste a little bit salt in it. But before that, he was not. See, that's how it is. Yadrucha labha santushtaha. Being satisfied with whatever comes to your plate, whatever is received. That is what he says, Hetu Prakriti. Purushaha Sukha Dukkhanam Bhoktritve Hetu Ruchyate. If the Purusha, that means if the self within is satisfied with whatever comes to its enjoyment or to its experience, it will just accept it like that. Purushaha Karya Karana Kartritve. That's why last time I mentioned we need to act to situations and not react towards situations. That's what it is. When our focus is rested on the conscious self, that means the Purusha, then we attain a state of transcending both pleasure and pain. But when we have this sense of doership, I am the experiencer, I am the enjoyer, I have to do this, I have to do that, then these dualities will prevail, both sukha and dukkha, that both happiness and misery, we will be enjoying both of those things. Purusha, in the next verse, Sri Krishna continues this theme. Purusha prakritisto hi bhunkte prakritijan gunan karanam gunasangosya sad asadyo nijanmasu. Seated in the bodies which are the products of Prakriti, the Purusha enjoys the objects and qualities born of Prakriti. Attachment to these objects is the cause of the spirit getting embodiments in evil or exalted wombs. See? Seated in bodies which are the products of Prakriti. What is Prakriti according to Vedanta? Prakriti constitutes of these three gunas: Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Sattva is that which gives you joy, that which ennobles you. It makes you feel very good. And that means real joy within. And then Rajas is that which is very active, which is of the color of red, which is very active and wants to do something and then wants to engage in all types of conflicts and all of that. So-called do-gooders of the world. Do-gooders of the world. So they want to, I want to leave a mark on society. When I die, everybody should remember me. Everybody should praise me for what I have done. This kind of a feeling, if one has, then that is born out of this Rajas. And then Tamas. Tamas is that which does not make any effort at all. Any effort at all. There is no purity also. There is filth everywhere, and he is happy to live within the filth. That is the type of Tamas. Of course, all of us have got all these three gunas or all these three qualities hidden within every one of us. Sometimes one of them raises its head and we become a prey to that. So Karya Karana Prakriti, that is what it is. And Karya Karana, what this does is, these three gunas, they keep on changing the character of a personality. Our character keeps on changing. Sometimes we are in the highs and sometimes we are in the lows. That's what it does. Purusha prakritisto hi bhunkte prakritijan gunan karanam gunasangosya sad asad yoni janma. So attachment to these objects of the Prakriti, sometimes it is the cause of the spirit getting embodiments in evil or exalted wombs, that is in different births. So the question comes, why is it that we suffer? Why there is suffering in this world? Or to be more specific, why do we suffer? This is the answer to that question. This Purusha, that means the self or the spirit, you can call it, is within the Prakriti. That means it is just hidden inside, and it is within Prakriti. What is Prakriti made out of? The five sense organs. The five sense organs, the mind, the intellect, and of course there is the ego attached to all of that. So because of this, the spirit thinks that it is bound, or that it is either happy or it is unhappy. So the self is that which is experiencing all of this because of its contact with the senses, five senses, and the mind and the intellect. So here he says, the Purusha is within the Prakriti, and the body is this Prakriti, and Purusha is inside it. So let this Purusha remain inside the Prakriti. There is no harm in it. But when this Purusha is attached to the Prakriti, then the difficulties arise. Purushaha Prakristho hi, Purusha seated within Prakriti, Prakritijan gunan bhunkte. That means it experiences all the gunas that is arising out of Prakriti. It is saying, it is mine. I say, this book is mine. No, the book was never mine. It will never, it was never mine. It is never mine. It will never be mine. Where does this book belong to? It belongs to the trees. It belongs to the trees. It has come from the trees, and then once it disintegrates, it will go back into nature and become one with the tree. And why is this self, that this Purusha, attaching itself and trying to own this and make itself, make it once my own? That is the idea. It is mine, me and mine, Sri Ramakrishna says, is ignorance. This attitude of mine is something that we need to work upon. That's what he says. In the next verse, he says, Upadrashta. Who is the self? Upadrashta numantacha bharta bhokta maheshwaraha paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purushah paraha. In this body there is also the transcendent and the Supreme Spirit, who is described as the Supreme Self and Sovereign Lord, the unconcerned witness, the sanctioner, the supporter, and the enjoyer. There are two entities, the lower Purusha and the higher Purusha. I think last week we mentioned about this story of the two birds which occurs in the Mundaka Upanishad. There are these two birds of the same plumage, same color, same weight, and so on and so forth. They are sitting on two branches. One is sitting on the upper branch and another one is sitting on the lower branch. The one who is sitting in the lower branch is sometimes eating sour fruits and making faces, and sometimes it is eating sweet fruit and it is very happy. And at times it is looking up towards the other bird, and it sees that the other bird is sitting quietly. There's no expression in its face, no feeling of good or bad experience, nothing at all. Whereas the lower bird is again engaging in eating both the sour fruits and the sweet fruits, and getting affected by the taste of the fruits. At last it realizes, it tries to think, why is it that the other one is not at all perturbed, whereas I am being perturbed by this? And as it pauses over, thinks deeply, I will say meditates deeply, says it is my own reflection when I am not eating anything, not making faces. It is me who is there above. That is the lower self, then realizes it is the higher self. This has a great meaning in our life also. When we are thinking that we are little and that we are bound, we will be bound. But when we start thinking that the divine is within me, the one which is outside everywhere is within me also. Once that realization comes to a person, then one is free from all these dualities, experience of dualities. So, what we call as short term and long term. So, the short term is the lower Purusha and the long term is the higher Purusha. So, we give the example of the waves in the ocean. The ocean gives rise to the waves, and some are small, some are big, and they keep on rising and falling. Now, for an onlooker, the ocean seems to be placid, but the waves, they seem to be much mightier than the waters of the ocean. For children especially, they see, oh, the ocean is, the water is clear, but then see the waves, some are mighty and some are small, but both of them belong to the same ocean. Another example that is given by Sri Ramakrishna, which we have repeated here many times, is that of a salt doll. Somebody made a doll out of salt, and the salt doll got its life, and it went about walking here and there, and it saw the ocean, and the salt doll thought, well, there is this ocean, I want to go and measure the depth of the ocean. That's what we all think. We can understand the realities of the divine. With our little brains, we think we can do that. But as soon as the salt doll went into the ocean, what happened to it? It became the ocean. It itself became the ocean. Its identity completely disappeared within it. Yet, we think that we are somebodies. No, we are nobodies. We belong to that same divine spirit. That is the idea. So here he says, Upadrashta. What is the nature of the divine? Upadrashta is the witness of all things. The higher self is the witness of all things. It is the Sakshi, observer. Everything that is happening in this universe, within this body, within the mind, and outside the universe, is being observed by this being. So within every one of us, this higher self is manifesting as the lower self, as the conscience. Conscience. It's always present in everyone. It is present in the saint, it is also present in the murderer, it is present in... The only thing is, the saint is able to recognize it, whereas the sinner is not able to pay heed to it. He covers it with a covering, with a towel, so that it does not, it should not talk to him. And then he does all of his activities. Whereas there is somebody who is watching even behind all of that. That's why the conscience is there in every being. When we engage in any negative activity, for example, it warns us. Every person's conscience wants, don't do it, don't do it. But the forces of desire that is derived from the senses, it just ignores it and says to itself, no, 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 don't do this, don't pay heed to this conscience of yours. You will be mighty happier if you ignore it. But it will come and bite you sometime or the other. Sri Ramakrishna gives a beautiful example. In olden days, even now in some parts of some villages, they could not afford 2 lamps in 2 rooms. So there would be in the middle of the wall or on the top of the wall, an oil lamp would be kept. So that oil lamp would illumine both the rooms, both sides of the rooms. So Sri Ramakrishna says, on one side of the room, on one part of the room, a saint is reading the scriptures and is mightily happy. And on the other side, a sinner or a crook, he is forging the documents. Same light. So one is enhancing his life and the other is throwing his life into sin. So both of them, whose mistake is it? Is it the mistake of the light that it gave light to the sinner? No, it is not so. It is unaffected. So also the conscience within every one of us is there. We only have to use it for the proper purposes, the rightful purposes. So, upadrashta, as the witness, the Purusha or the Self is always present within ourselves as well as in the external world also. And then the second word he uses is Anumanta. Anumanta means sanctioneer, one who sanctions or gives acceptance or permits something. So it is the purified intellect. It will permit you. It will permit you and said, do this and do not do this. It will permit you. Definitely one has to pay heed to that Anumanta. As the Supreme Being has given us a free will. You know, both Eastern and Western philosophies argue on these 2 points. Is it divine grace that one has to recognize, or is there any free will for us? Grace or free will? Some say, no, we all have free will. So there is no need for the grace of the divine. And some others say, no, one has to only go according to the grace of the divine. Whatever is happening is according to the will of the Lord, and therefore you have to accept anything and everything that come, and we need not do anything at all. So to this, the scriptures give an answer. It says, yes, there is something, there is the divine grace always, there is no doubt about that. But the divine Lord, out of His great compassion, also has given us a little bit leeway. It's called the free will. Sri Ramakrishna gives a beautiful example. In India especially, the cattle, the cows and the bullocks, etc., they are taken to the farm and they are tethered to a post. They have a long rope, and the farmer will tie it so that it does not graze more than the area that he wants it to graze. And some cows are foolish. They will go round and round that post and wind themselves and sit there and then cry that they do not have any freedom and that they have only this much to graze. But there are other intelligent cows which will take full advantage of the tether or the rope and will go and graze as much as they can, up to as much as the rope would allow them. Similarly, every being in this world has been given a little bit of that free will. We need to make, that's why we say freedom of choice is there for everyone. I can choose to be bound or to be free. I can choose to be immersed in the world and get battered by the highs and lows of life, or I can choose to become more and more faithful to my ideal, more and more spiritual, go deeper within myself. Both these permissions are there for us, Anumanta. Both these sanctions are there for us. So my experience will depend on the choices that I make. What choices do I make? Do I make good choices or do I make bad choices? So the choice is there for every one of us. There is no doubt. That's why through these words or with this terminology, Sri Krishna says that while it is true that everything happens according to God's will, yet every being, every embodied being, I should say, every embodied being is given a little bit of free will. And one can utilize that much of freedom for bettering oneself, not to tie oneself down. So then the third word he uses is bharta. Bharta means one who carries, one who supports, or one who holds. Our body, the mind, the experiences that we have. Everything, of course, comes from the Lord. See, He puts us in certain places to have certain experiences. And when those experiences are completed, then He will put us in some other place. That's how it is. From this body, He has put us into this body and says, all right, you experience everything that you want to experience through this body. In the next life or later, I will put you somewhere else so that, but once you say, all right, I have had all my experiences, I don't want to have any more of these experiences. I want to be with you, or I want to be free. If one can have that firm conviction, which is called mumukshutva, the urge to become free, the yearning to become free, when once that takes over, then one will only want the Lord, or one will only want freedom and nothing else. That is what he says. Bharta, as the person who supports, he is there to support us always. But because of the existence of this ego sense within ourselves, we sometimes err, we make mistakes, and therefore we will have to experience the results of all those mistaken actions. So Bharta, he is there to support us always. While traveling, we may have a laptop, computer, we may have it, and while traveling, if we just keep it on our laptop, because it is a laptop, so if we just keep it and say no, it is a laptop and it must be on my lap only, all right, we can, if we can tolerate that weight, let us have it. Otherwise, the bus or the flight has the options for you to keep it in the locker or somewhere. You can put it away for the time being, for the time that you are traveling, instead of just holding that weight on your own body. So in the same way, whether we want to carry all the impressions that we have received in this life, or we want to divest it, we just want to leave it. The vehicle is carrying everything, including me, the laptop, everything it can carry. So I can just put it somewhere and let the vehicle carry. When the destination comes, I will take it out and then I will go and make use of it for my purposes. So instead of trying to hold on to that, let us rest ourselves in the Lord. There is that story of a scholar. It's a real story apparently. Some say his name was Arjunacharya, some say it was Madhavacharya, anyway, but I don't know the real name of that person. So he was a poor scholar whose main job was to perform ceremonies in people's homes and all that, but he was a scholar as well, so he used to write books, or he used to publish books, and he was writing a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. And there is a verse which says, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Sri Krishna says, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate. One who constantly remembers me alone, na anya, not anything else, but only me, that is, thinking of the divine alone. Chintayan, one who is always thoughtful about me, who is always chanting my name, or who is always meditating upon me. Tesham nitya abhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyam. To such persons, I will, or in such persons' lives, I will bear their burden. I will bear their burden means I will carry their burden. That's another meaning, is carrying the burden. So, being a Sanskrit scholar, he said, this is not correct. Why should the Lord carry our burden? He can give us the wherewithal to carry our burden. He can give us a vehicle to carry our burden, or He can give us the strength to carry our burden. But why should the Lord Himself carry our burden? No, probably the author was not right. So he took his pen and then he struck off that and said, Yogakshemam dadamyaham. I will give you whatever you need in order to take care of yourself. That's a plain meaning. Yoga means to get something. Kshema means to look after, to maintain it. So you get money and then you maintain the family. So he said, he struck it off and said, Yoga Kshemam dadamyaham. I will give it to you. Whatever you want, I will give it to you. I will not that I will carry and bring it to you. Now, he was a very poor person. So his wife called him and said, hey, look here, we don't have any groceries today. There is no money also at home. So you go and get some groceries, or beg for some groceries, bring it on loan, and I will cook it. So he said, yes, it is time for me to go and have my traditional bath in the lake. I will go. And so he went away. Very soon, he was seen coming back with a basket load of groceries. And then he brought it and then left it in the door and called his wife and said, look here, dear, you were asking for groceries. It is there. I have brought it and you cook it. I am going for my bath. I will come back. So she was mightily happy, and she thought, how is it that he was so fast? He just went out, and then he immediately, probably he must have got somebody who was very generous, he must have got it. And then so she started cooking. With the help of the groceries, she was cooking. After some time, this man comes back after his bath, but unfortunately he could not get anything at all. He went and approached people. They said, first give back the loan that you have taken from us previously. You won't get any groceries now. So he comes back with a fallen face. But as he approaches the home, he smells the aroma of cooking. So he comes and asks his wife, well, dear, you told me that there were no groceries, and I went about looking out for them. Nobody was prepared to give me anything. And here I see that you are cooking a delicious meal. So you must have hidden some of that. So she said, you are out of your mind. Just an hour ago or so you had gone. As soon as you went, you brought this load of this basket full of groceries, and you lowered it from your head, and then you kept it here and told me to cook the meal. Have you forgotten? Have you become demented so soon? So he said, no, I did not come at all. I went more than an hour ago, and then I was first of all I wanted to get the groceries, but nobody was prepared to give me anything. And anyway, I went and had my bath, and I'm coming now. But how is it that God, he said, are you sure it was me that brought it? I said, yes, I heard your voice. I was inside the kitchen, but I didn't see you, but I heard your voice. Oh, that's so. So he goes there, and he looks at that book which he had stricken off. It was open, and then again somebody had stricken that off and said, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Instead of Dadamyaham, Vahamyaham. No, indeed, I will bear your burden. I will bear the cross, as Christ says. I will bear it. So, that's what he said. Bharta means one who bears, one who holds. Of course, one should have that kind of dedication in order to experience this. Maybe we also experience it, we don't keep it in mind because it becomes commonplace sometimes for us, and we take it for granted that when something good happens to us, oh, it has happened because of me, my work. No, it is not so. It is He who has maintained us. Then Bhokta, the next one is Bhokta, he is experiencer. He is the enjoyer. How does he experience? He experiences it as a witness. We enjoy doing something beautiful or seeing something that is beautiful, but the joy of being a silent experiencer is far greater than being engaged, being involved in it. See, some of you must be the fans of certain clubs or certain teams. See, when you go to watch a footy, for example, and if you are the fan of one team and you are enjoying the game, and when your own team is being defeated, you become very much dejected. Again, when your team is winning or when your team has won, oh, the joy that you experience cannot be told. You will be jumping up and down. But again, there in the game itself, you will see there are certain people, probably they are in a minority, who just go there to watch the game, who neither support the Broncos nor do they support the other team. They will support. They are there just to watch that, and they enjoy it mightily. Whoever wins, they are happy because they have gone there just to enjoy the game. That's what he says here. He is the Bhokta. He experiences all joys by not being attached, particularly not being partial to anything. So that is what God is. Neither a tyrant nor does he is a rewarder. This is something which we need to remember all the time. All the religions have portrayed God as a just God or as an unjust God. As somebody who will punish you if you don't do something right, or will reward you plenty when you do something good. No, that is not the function of the Lord. He is known as the giver of the fruits of your action, or he is just the distributor of the fruits of your action. We perform our actions, and our actions decide whether it has to be fruitful or it should not be fruitful, whether it should be successful or not successful. That's why Swami Vivekananda said once, "You are the creator of your destiny." We create our destinies indeed. Our actions, past, present and the future actions, they decide our destiny. Swami Vivekananda says, if what you are today is the results of what you have done in the past, it stands for reason that what you will be decided by what you are doing right now. If I do something good, yes. If I have done something wrong, I will have to experience the results of that. If I have done something good also, I will have to experience the results of that. So blaming God as being unjust or unkind is not correct. In my humble opinion, it is not correct. Don't blame God. We are responsible for what we are, and we shall be responsible for what we will be by our own actions. So he is just a distributor of it. Keeps all of our good and bad results, and then he takes it and then gives it to you. All right, you take this, you take it. So that's all that it does. So is it then wrong for us to pray to God to give us, for example, good health or success and all of that? No, by all means pray. In fact, that creates a good karma. That creates a good karma when we pray to the Lord with a sincere heart. Then the act of prayer itself will help us in achieving the goals. It is because of our actions. So we are praying at the right place and to the right person, and then it will definitely come back to us. So here he says, Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaraha. Maheshwara means he is the owner of all beings. He is the inner controller of all beings. He has instituted this self-governance model within every being. Self-governance, that is, we punish ourselves and we reward ourselves. Maheshwaraha. And then he says, Paramatmeti chapyukto asmin dehe purushaha paraha. He is the Parama Purusha. He is the highest being. He is beyond the law of causation. He is beyond the law of cause and effect. He is beyond all of that. So that is where we will leave today and take up the next verse. Next Sunday is Sri Shankaracharya's birthday. We will be having a prayer program here from 10:30, not 10 a.m., from 10:30 to 12 p.m. There will be prasad also after that. You are most welcome to come and attend that program. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam Yogiridhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanaatham. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.